and welcome to your award-winning The Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week through news and headlines ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I'm Daniel, and today as my co-host is Julian from Lazy Gaming Guys. Welcome back, Julian.
Hi, I'm awake. I'm here. I'm alive. I was not sleeping.
Even when you're not streaming, you fall asleep. Unbelievable.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, Julian is supposed to be streaming right now, which is why I think he's fallen asleep. He's kind of gotten into that habit already, but instead he is helping us co-host this week's episode. So huge thank you, Julian, and to Lazy Gaming Guys. I know you'll be joining them right afterward, but I do appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. I don't mind. We discussed this. Me and Scott help out, and Jock's sometimes here too. Also, it gives me a chance to learn about other nerd news for the week, at least for once.
And if this is your very first episode, the way we format the show is we go through a block of news, and then we end it with the Brokehead block, which is what Julian and I have been doing since you last heard us, while we've been watching, reading, playing, the more personal side of the podcast where you get to know your hosts a little bit better. So with all of that out of the way, let's jump right in and explore sector number 517. I did include some Twitter news this week since it is my favorite platform and I do get a lot of great information from Twitter. There's a lot of Brokehead Core members that I met on Twitter and a lot of hosts too that you enjoy here on the podcast because of Twitter. So I'm a fan, but it has been confirmed that Twitter will pursue legal action against Elon Musk for terminating the merger agreement. So it was announced earlier this year that Elon planned to acquire Twitter for $44 billion, promising sweeping changes for Twitter. And one of those things was free speech. To what extent, we're not too sure. Twitter is prepared to sue Musk in the Delaware Court of Chancery to enforce the deal and has expressed confidence in the deal actually going through as a result. So what do you think? Is he going to be forced to buy it? Is this all a part of the game for Elon?
Where the hell is Chancery a city in Delaware? Why this random city in Delaware?
I believe that's their headquarters is in Delaware.
Twitter is based in Delaware?
I believe so,
Makes sense. Makes sense. There's nothing else to do there. Yeah, I saw some information about this going on. First, like, right after he canceled it, suddenly Elon Musk, his Twitter is just like, it's like an account banned, and everyone's like, ha ha. Look what they did. Twitter's bitter. That wasn't meant to rhyme, and I'm very sorry. But this whole thing, it's like, I don't think either they're going to make him buy it, or they're pretty much like, we set up all this stuff, had to do all this defending of whatever you trying to buy and telling everybody it's going to be fine. And then you just go and chicken out on us. So we want some collateral back, I guess.
I know it probably had a lot to do with what the stock prices suddenly went up and down at because of him saying that he's going to buy Twitter. Maybe a lot of people bought into Twitter and there's some suing happening because of that. I don't really know the legality behind it, but I'm sure Twitter, from the sounds of it, from their lawyers and the fact that Elon hasn't said a thing from all of this, might be true that Twitter might get it. I know one of the rumors is that Elon wanted some information on Twitter as far as how many of Twitter's users are actually bots, because he suspects that maybe he's overpaying for the social media platform if there's not really as many people using it as Twitter supposedly reports. And I think that was one of the issues with it.
Oh, bots. Yes. As a person who has friends who make not safe for work content, I know that they get random bots that follow them that essentially like it's like, I like this, I like that, random things, and then just to like mine through their audience and then start sending them links to stupid shit that they don't need or care about.
So you see a lot of that on Twitter, on Instagram especially. I know Instagram is a huge problem with it. And I think by the end of the year, or maybe this case will roll into next year, but we should get a clearer picture of what's actually going to happen. Maybe they'll even make a deal behind doors of, all right, look, let's not go through the legal system. I'll buy it for $35 billion instead, whatever it might be. And we'll know in the next couple of weeks.
And on a mention of bots, remember everybody, don't click weird links. And remember, two-factor identification is no longer a option. It is a necessity.
Yes.
I've seen too many people on Facebook, Discord, Twitter, multiple places getting social media is getting like hacked and DDoS like crazy. Y'all gotta protect yourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have that set up for a lot of my accounts. We have some Pokemon news this week, as the Pokemon Company is currently looking for applicants who want to be a part of a reality show centered around the Pokemon trading card game with fans of all ages, all backgrounds. They're all encouraged to apply. Serie B first took note of this casting call as they were looking for people in the LA area to apply. And it is speculated that this show will not be on traditional television, but will instead go straight to the official Pokemon YouTube channel, which makes a lot of sense. Bobby did mention that at the last Nationals he was at, there were professional crew members there filming the players playing, and I think he said they were doing interviews. I'm not too sure, but he was saying that it makes sense that they were doing something with the trading card game. I initially thought that I saw reported that it was an anime based on the trading card game, kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh, but for Pokemon. But instead, it sounds like it's going to be a reality show special. A giant commercial for the Pokemon cards is what it's going to be.
Seriously, like it's like Pokemon itself already fuels the Pokemon card game. This sounds like their own personal brony, like fluff piece video that like freaking one of the bigger voice actors. One of the ones used to be on Star Trek. I can't remember who he is, but essentially he like saw the money making opportunities to freaking like to from all the bronies spending money, and then decided to make a documentary. But unfortunately, didn't know that most of the fan base in those people torrented the show and everything. So as soon as one person got their DVD, they just torrented, went online, and everybody saw it, and he got super pissed about it. But with this Pokemon thing, it's like it sounds like another huge fluff piece we're gonna make. It's like everybody's gonna love the Pokemon card game. Look at us, we're everybody's having fun and enjoying themselves. It's totally not a huge money marketing scheme to get people buy more Pokemon cards and try to do more Pokemon tournaments or anything.
It makes sense to me because of how hot the trading card game is. I don't know what they can bring out of this, but I'll be there watching. I'm not going to lie. I will be there and I will check it out.
Yeah, the word of reality television scares me a little bit because no one's ignorant. Most of reality television, it's framed. And, it's like, unless you're going to start some cutesy rival nonsense going on where people actually like have dialogue that's interesting and actually have some of these people actually like, this person's my rival in the tournament, I'm going to beat them, and they better have some interesting concepts going on in the show, because it's like, why don't I just watch them play the card game like they show on the Pokemon channel already all the time? It's like, I don't need the fluff piece of how the people who play the game freaking set up their decks and offline or anything, because they most likely do that on their own anyway.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be a lot of, I've liked Pokemon since I was 6 years old. I just started collecting last year. They're going to have people of different skill levels talk about how they collect the game and don't play or only play. And that's basically what it's going to be, getting to know the type of players that get into Pokemon. And they're going to show, like they said, they want different skill levels. So they're going to show us the beginners, the old school fans, the collectors, the ones who flip, just to highlight the trading card game as like, look, everyone from all walks of life can play Pokemon. And that's what it's going to end up being. And we'll see what comes out of it if it ends up being a pretty big hit. And I'm sure it will be.
I want to see them accidentally have a bootlegger join.
Yeah. I want to see Bobby show up, though. I want to see him pop up since he's going to be at Worlds. If they film some stuff at Worlds, show the judges, man. I want to see him we already see him judging the games, but get him on there and do a little interview. Maybe he'll show up. Who knows?
Yeah, and then we get to that point of, we know him. We know that person.
Yeah. Like Leonardo DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time. And here are some people that you claim. You talked about the bronies. Well, here's the weebs, as Anime Expo has announced that it will be launching a new convention later this year that will operate as a much smaller spin-off version of the main convention for those fans who might have missed out on the main event. So being that it was the first post-COVID Anime Expo, it was stacked to the brim with a ton of fans interested in seeing a ton of the new projects that did get announced. This new spin-off convention will take place November 12th through the 13th at the Ontario Convention Center in Ontario, California. As for the main convention, Anime Expo has already announced it will be returning to the LA Convention Center next year from July 1st through the 4th. And I know that the convention was a big mess. Bobby posted it on our Discord, how the fire marshal, I believe, had to go in there and either shut it down or keep people from coming in because it was just shoulder to shoulder, a huge accident waiting to happen, one person shouting fire and you've got a stampede on your hands type of thing. It was an absolute mess, something that was not as well controlled as it could have been. And now they're doing this spin-off version, which to me, it's a little bit in poor taste because it's like, well, we had this oversold show, so let's make more money and sell more tickets at this one. And I think it should be more, hey, we're going to focus on next year's, but there's money to be made apparently.
Anime Expo. One, you're late. PAX has been doing this for years. They realized that PAX was getting too big, so they split it off into 4 different conventions. Split it off between PAX East, North, South, West. So, it's like, get with it. Anyway, them doing this, it makes sense because, holy crap, Anime Expo was already huge. And then with everybody wanting to go back, it threw crazy. Also, when I found out about this, I'm like, wait, Ontario and California, don't they mean Canada? That'd be weird. It's like, wait a minute, no, there is an Ontario and California. It's just they both have the same abbreviations, which is weird.
Okay, so Canada, not California.
Oh, no. There is an Ontario, California.
But that's not where this is, I'm guessing.
I don't know. I looked it up and I'm trying to figure it out because it's like, at this point, it's like, I'm trying to see, because there is a convention there. I want to see what their convention center is. Let's see.
Well, if it's the Ontario Convention Center, well, I guess it could be either one. I just figured it was California because they had theirs in LA. So why have it elsewhere, like in another country?
Yeah, it'd be weird if they just took it to another country without mentioning it. Because they're going to take it to another country. They would have said, this is going to be Anime Expo Canada or something. Or if they're going to submit, they had to say flat out that it was going to be in Canada. So Twitch has 2 conventions.
It is California, Ontario, California.
Yeah, apparently the beginning of Southern California or something stupid. So essentially it's like the first city of Southern California or something. I don't fucking know. I don't care about California. It's not freaking universal. But this seems interesting. Maybe I could actually go to a Anime Expo, because me and Scott have talked about going to Anime Expo like back in, well, like for years, but every time Anime Expo rolls around, it's like in the middle of summer, freaking Metro's going on. Metro's supposed to be like weeks afterwards, and who wants to go from all the way to California, go back to Florida, and then I have to go back to Florida and have the same money again to go spend.
Right.
And you go spend another convention. But also, if we did go to California, we were gonna be like, well, we're not just gonna go for the convention.
Sure.
We're gonna go ham and do a huge vacation out there. Maybe this might be the excuse we finally get. I don't know if we're going to be able, we'll see what happens. Most likely, I might go see the new Anime Expo for one day. If they do this, maybe go there for one day and then do the rest of everywhere else.
Anime Expo, I guess, is the premier type of convention. I hadn't really heard of it until this big story came out that Bobby shared about how fucking huge it got and how dangerous it did get with all the people going back to back. And maybe I've heard the name before, but the only anime conventions that I know of are the ones here in Florida, like Anime Holiday Matsuri, MegaCon in a way, back when it was more comic and anime focused. And there was one more, MetroCon, which we've been at. So those are the only ones that I really, but I'm not like you guys, I'm not a weeb. So that's the only thing. Like to me, Comic-Con is the one I want to go to, not quite Anime Expo. And then there's, AFO too. Anime Florida, Orlando.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Then there was a couple other conventions in Florida that I used to go to back before I moved away. But for me, I let Scott and Jock handle anime stuff. I'm more of the video game weeb now. It's like, Japanese video game. Hi, hello. I'll just absorb some of that. And I'm kind of glad seeing that a big convention like that came back. Maybe we can have a couple other ones come back. I know one of the local anime conventions here is coming back, but I'm not going to be able to go to it because I need to save money for other projects.
Well, if you are in the LA area and you missed out on that one, you've got an option with Spinoff if you're not afraid of crowds, if you're not afraid of what might happen, if they might oversell the event, who knows. But another convention that supposedly is coming back, the ESA announced last week that they will be bringing back E3 next year as an in-person convention, but that this time they'll be working with ReedPop. ReadPop currently puts together events like you mentioned, PAX, New York Comic Con, Star Wars Celebration, C2E2, and more. I like ReadPop. ReadPop does an amazing job with C2E2 every year. I've been to C2E2. I didn't go this year, but that is my favorite convention. C2E2 is amazing, and I think E3, if they're able to pull it off next year, will be probably one of the best E3s simply because it's ReadPop behind it. Now, do you actually believe that we're going to get an E3 2023?
So, one, I actually do know about ReadPop. When I went to PAX South, that was the most organized convention I had ever been to in my entire life. Because I've never been to C2E2, and also I doubt I will never go to New York Comic Con. I don't know what it is about me. I don't really like New York. It's like it's mostly maybe it's because I have family there and I'm not too fond of, and then like I've seen the worst of it, and the best of it is the best of it is just as terrible. But other than that, ReadPop, they do an amazing job. Everything's set up. You know where to go. There's little confusion unless you're one of those people that don't actually pay attention and just kind of go to a convention and be like, ooh, look. And they do a good job. And so if they work with E3, it's going to, because I never heard E3 being chaotic, but maybe this will help. But I have heard the lines for E3 being like just the worst. Mm-hmm. And then the whole controversy about E3, I love it. Every year since back in 2018 when since Nintendo kind of dropped out, and since I've known Scott and Bobby talking, they constantly, ever since like E3 stopped, they've been constantly arguing about it's not coming back, it's coming back, it's not coming back, it's dead, it's not dead, it's not dead. It's like they both switch opinions sometimes.
Yeah, Bobby's like, right now on E3 is over and it's done.
Because Scott's like, E3 is not dead, it's just the venue is dead. Like they're still doing their whole, the announcements. It's just around the same time, and no one's, if they do an E3, I don't know if the major publishers are gonna, with ReadPop behind it, they might go back in slowly. Doubt Nintendo will. Nintendo's gonna do what they want, but at least most likely Microsoft might go back since it's already based here anyway. Mm-hmm. And then it might actually help a couple of the other companies that are based around here, except EA. EA doesn't get to come. I don't want EA or Blizzard to go, but that's me being biased.
Where do you actually lie on it, though? Do you think that we will get an E3 next year?
To be honest, seeing an E3 actual venue event, it looks good. We've gone beyond the time. It's like it's never going to be back to the times of what it used to be back with the booth babes and how do we reveal Xbox's new price? Oh no, we have a woman take her shirt off on fucking stage, and it's like bro country. No. We've gone beyond that. It's like, they know who their target demographic is, and it's like I do miss the grand stages instead of these like all these digital
pre-recorded shit.
Pre-recorded people showing off the graphic designers they hired, which good on the graphic designers, good for you, but still. It's like you could have the graphic designers and the people who actually do stage stuff make some money too, because that stuff was great. Because this last thing, unless I really cared about a video game, there was no hype.
Right.
It's like it's been the hype has been slowly dying.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no more moments like Miyamoto coming out with the Master Sword and the shield, the Hylian shield, and revealing Twilight Princess, or seeing huge things like that. And that really doesn't happen anymore, for better or for worse. And we also don't get the live cringe compilations like Jamie Kennedy or whoever was hosting that year. Just these terrible.
Yeah. I want to see freaking, some bad stuff go down. Apparently out there's bits and pieces of it, but I want to see the full recording of the entirety of the N-Gage announcement. And them announcing all the stuff for it, because apparently it was super cringe and terrible. it put the first announcements for the Kinect to shame.
Yeah, there's so many of those. I go back and I watch those compilations, and I think I miss those. I really do miss them. Like as terrible as they were, like the Ridge Racer thing, or the game is based in real life Japanese history. Okay, here we're gonna defeat this giant crab,
or like Nintendo randomly bringing up in the middle of their press conference, what was it, like some kind of heart rate tester or something. It's like while playing the Wii, it's like, so they know that the random demographic that they have are geriatrics, so now they're going to have some kind of heart checker, so when grandma's playing bowling, she doesn't make her ticker stop. Cool. Cool, weird, or like the
PS3 price announcement. That one was
PS3 price announcement. Oh
my
god, that
God.
was terrible.
Everyone gasping like, oh shit, 600.
Everyone gasping, people forgetting that. And then like some of the Bethesda ones where people are like forget to clap, and then it's like suddenly it's like one person goes woo, and then starts clapping. Everyone's like, yeah, like, we forgot we were paid to stand here and clap for this crap.
Well, we will be reporting next year if we get the E3 one or the Summer of Games. You know, Mazio and I and probably Bobby or someone else, whoever decides to do the video game episode 4 next summer, will be here to cover it. And according to journalist Jeff Grubb, the reason why we still haven't heard about the remaster of GoldenEye 007, which we talked about here 3 weeks ago, I talked about how by the time this episode comes out, it'll probably be announced because of the trophies that went up on the marketplace. Hasn't gone up yet, but according to Jeff, it's due to the ongoing war in the Ukraine. So for those of you who forgot or have never played 007 GoldenEye, many of the larger plot beats in the game directly involve the Russian government. And that's the same reason why Advanced Wars recently just got delayed because of the same thing. So that's what's speculated. It sounds like the game is done and ready to release, especially with all the trophies out.
Yeah, that's some collar stretching moments right there.
Yeah.
It's like that situation. It's like we don't want to get in trouble because anybody who makes the Russians look like the bad guys, they're gonna get caught up in some political stuff they don't want any part of. I kind of respect them for not trying to stir fires that they have no business in, regardless of their own personal feelings. Whatever personal feelings you have, it's like you're a business. Don't get involved, because usually whenever someone who has a business open says something, suddenly there's random DDoS attacks or some kind of crazy thing goes on with their company with the money. It's like, it's like, yeah, but that's conspiracy stuff, yada yada, blah blah blah. It's complicated.
The game itself, it might work out better for it, because compared to if they delay it till this fall or this holiday season, I don't know, they might get more sales out of people as opposed to in the middle of the summer.
The last GoldenEye game, we were burned pretty badly.
Yeah.
Pretty badly. So hopefully this one works out, regardless of the collar pulling moments. Hopefully this works out, because this is going to be another GoldenEye where it's not. We can get past the Rare nostalgia, everybody. I mean, one of my favorite 007 games was 007 Nightfire, and Rare had nothing to do with it.
That's true.
Yeah, it's based off of the Pierce Brosnan one, which no one really cares about, but I didn't think he was that bad.
Yeah, it was good. I liked him too.
Yeah, I think of that bad. The game was fun. It ends in space. But then, outside of single player, there's the crazy multiplayer aspects of, your friend going to a one snow-ridden. There's like 2 rocket launchers on each side of the stage. One on the castle and one in this like ski lodge or something. And so literally 2 people are fighting over there while the other 2 people are trying to kill the other 2 people to get them to stop fucking trying to shoot all the computers and them with rocket launchers. One of my friends, as soon as the freaking thing starts, he picks Oddjob like the asshole he was.
Of course.
And it's like, okay, so I have to be careful about where he is. I don't want to screen look because, it was back during split screen times, but I will screen look to see if he gets too close, because I don't want to see a hat standing where my body was.
Everyone fucking screen looked. That's what Matt and I were saying. Like, there's bullshit.
Everybody screen looked. Don't act like you didn't.
Yeah,
you always took a quick glance next to you. The only way to stop screen looking was when LAN parties started, where teams were in separate rooms.
When I eventually get Game Pass, I will be playing GoldenEye 007. I'm assuming it's going to be on there at some point, and I very much look forward to that eventual release. GameStop has laid off. We've talked about how they closed down some stores. Now, in company, they've laid off an undisclosed number of employees, including those who work at their gaming magazine, Game Informer. GameStop has been struggling quite a bit over the last decade, as many people have transitioned to buying video games digitally as opposed to physically. And the store near Scott and I, that one ended up closing, and I'm hearing that
Really?
a lot of them are. Yeah, absolutely.
Holy crap, I thought they had business. They actually got business over there, but
They did fine, but that's an expensive plaza to be in.
yeah, and then it's like there's another one like in both directions down the street, and I get it, especially like a lot of people aren't willing to go out to get these games, and then with and especially lately with everything being so expensive, and then when Game Pass and Nintendo's thing and Sony's thing, and then Steam having sales almost every other week, and then Epic having sales every other week on PC, everybody has access to a lot more digital stuff. And then GameStop with their methods of how they get everything done, it's like it's not working for keeping people there anymore. I can't even say I've been in a GameStop in months.
There you go.
Because it's not because of, it's like whenever a game comes out, it's like I get it, and then I'm never setting foot in there again. I don't set foot in there very often. The longer release with certain video games that now going on since COVID, and just COVID in general, has pretty much killed a lot of GameStop's model. They're trying to. I think them buying ThinkGeek was a bad idea.
Absolutely.
Because no one's going to go to the GameStop store to buy all this stuff. Because no one went to the ThinkGeek stores to buy this stuff. I remember there's a ThinkGeek store in a mall nearby me, and I still never bought anything from there. I would order half of that crap offline through some other company.
That was the problem. I mean, it's a fine mall store, I guess, but for GameStop to start carrying all that stuff into their stores, and I understand that they were trying to diversify and trying to do more than the used games, but I remember working for that company and the profit margins being huge for used games, especially because you buy the games for $3 and you sell them for 25. So you would make a good profit on those used games. Now you're starting to put in product that are taking up shelf space on things that you get maybe a 20% profit margin. You're just not going to make as much money. So I do agree with you. It was a mistake. And I understand that they were trying to figure out different ways to try to make money, especially with the market going the way it's going. But that was definitely a misstep that cost them quite a bit.
I've said this once and I will say it forever. GameStop shouldn't have stopped carrying older game systems. You are a video game company. You should have been able to let people buy old games regardless of when they came from. If you kept your retro games, GameStop could have kept selling that shit for buku amounts of money. The only thing is, it's like, just be wary of taking certain things. Don't take the games that cost over hundreds of dollars back, like your copies of the Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, freaking and Master Quest versions on the GameCube, where that thing costs like hundreds of dollars now. It's like, I'm not taking that because these GameStop employees, because like, what are we gonna do? Keep it locked up in a safe and then hope somebody doesn't break into the store trying to look for it? I get that. Because there's a retro game store that has literally they will not show off their more rare games, and you have to ask, and then they don't even keep it there. They keep it in the store. They have it somewhere. They have it somewhere else. They don't tell anybody, and because they're a solo store that sells their own retro games, and they don't want to be robbed by somebody who's trying to get a quick buck on eBay.
Yeah, which we've seen a lot with specialty stores like comic book shops, and I'm sure it's happened several times to retro game stores, especially now that GameStop is closing. Scott was just talking about it on the podcast. All these retro games are going to go up in price now because, I mean, I say retro, but PS3, PS4 games used, all of that physical stuff is going to be harder to find, and because of that, prices are going to go up, and that goes across the board too.
It took me forever to find, I was trying to find a new PS3 controller because I don't know what happened to my original one. I think I gave it to my brother or something, and then the other one I had died. So I had to find a PS3 controller. My PS3 controller right now is a knockoff. It is a third-party PS3 controller. It works. It does everything I need it to, but the bitch it's not a Sony one. It's clear. It has lights on it. I feel
you got the afterglow.
It's an afterglow.
Oh
I had to buy an afterglow. It's like
why?
Because I needed a PS3 controller so I could use my PS3 again. Because I was going through stuff on the PS3 to see if I want to do something, and also we're trying to think about doing post-recording commentaries again, or at least stuff where we're recording and it's just three of us goofing off and talking, and then we're posting it onto YouTube.
Like breakfast with Lazy Game Guys?
Yeah, it's like us playing a video game, and then essentially like the old commentaries, except, with the new current system's way of redoing things. And then we would play a game, and then once certain people got their acts together and actually finished editing a video they said they were going to edit months ago, we whittle it down to the gems outside of stream so we can post it on something.
Yeah,
so we can post it online, because I will go back and watch our streams in full, and the shorter commentaries have been slow, which for some strange reason, have been slowly gaining more and more views because I've
Interesting.
realized that most of our viewership is post stream,
Right.
and a lot of people will see our stuff, and it's like this is why I constantly will murmur and say stupid shit because it's like we got to keep talking, and when we go on a low, no one's gonna be paying attention. But
Yeah.
anyway, back to the GameStop thing. No tangenting.
Scott's waiting.
Like this whole situation, like I already see a bunch of like last time I went to a GameStop, the person who was in there, they look distraught as hell because I think it's like I'm thinking to themselves, it's like this person's worried they're gonna still have their job. All the GameStops near me are still open. There's only two of them. One of them is literally down the street, and like as long as Walmart is a difficult place to get anything from, they will still keep going over there. They'll still keep going to GameStop. The other GameStop is well, essentially what people will label as one of the ghetto ones. They have, they got metal fences around the windows. That's before close. That's when it's open. Freaking they got lines. Most of the people who go in there freaking are assholes. It's most of the people who are working there are just like I don't give a shit.
Yep.
If that one closes, I wouldn't be surprised. But then there's a movie exchange down the street, so it's like that place is gonna get even more business because they're going to be the only ones that are selling old games unless you can get them offline, and then the people online charge too much. It's like the people who try to milk the Pokemon fans are ridiculous.
Might as well though.
It's like because a lot of people in Pokemon, it's like, hey, I want to relive my nostalgia playing Soul because they're kids who played Soul Silver as children. So like, I want to relive my nostalgia. That's okay, kid. That's $80. That's
Fuck yeah.
$40 more than what it was before. Cool.
Damn straight.
Okay. And cool. And I'm sitting here like trying to get as many 3DS games as I can possibly get my hands on before that boom died, because that is now going that PS3 games, and now I'm doing Xbox 360 games as well. I'm trying to get my hands on these games I actually wanted before they disappear off the face of the planet or become more expensive.
It will happen. It's a good time to jump in if you're into video game collecting. Get into the first party Nintendo titles, get into some of those, whatever games you were looking to get. Like, well, maybe I'll eventually run into that game. Maybe it's time to track it down because it's going to get a little bit worse as more of these GameStops close up. Mm-hmm. And another video game company, SEGA, they're releasing something to North America a month and a half after it was revealed in Japan. So we are getting the Sega Genesis Mini 2. So this is a revamp that includes a number of titles that were playable with the 6-button control pad, as well as a number of titles from Sega Saturn thrown into the mix for a total of over 50 games. Right now, it is set to release this year on October 27th. I know the first Sega Genesis Mini did go under quite a bit of criticism, I believe because of the controller, and it just wasn't as well built as, say, the Super NES Mini. So this one is looking to fix a lot of those issues, and it is pretty tempting for me. If I had more time to game, this is something that I would try to play and pick up. But I think it's good news. I think it is probably going to be a good value at $110 for over 50 games, retro titles that some of the people our age and older grew up with that may not have access to these titles anymore, plus some Sega Saturn in there. It sounds like a pretty good deal to me.
It's interesting. There's a couple games on here. It's like, oh, look, the old Shining Force, which is like Sega Fire Emblem. And it was interesting before Shining Force turned into super stylized anime game of anime. And then they have Fantasy Zone and a couple other things. But also, I'm a little pissed. They still have they're advertising the Genesis version of Sonic 3D Blast instead of the Saturn one. But we'll see what happens when we get to that one. It'll be interesting. Hopefully it'll be better than everything's been better than the PlayStation Classic, which was
that was the really bad one.
That was bad. It was bad. The Sony Classic was bad. Most of the emulations were terrible. And then when people found out that they actually had more stuff on it, and then some people didn't even hack into it. Some people got ones that were supposed to go out, and they went out. And then people who could hack into it found the other games that people weren't supposed to play. And it's like, well, what's going on here? What's going on here? Why did you have this? And then some people are like, oh, wait, this ROM hack's from this person's ROM hack, or this person's from this person online. It's like, so you stole your ROM hacks from people who already did this, who did the work for you offline. And then most likely what you did is took it and then tried to throw cease and desist at them.
Yeah, and even game developers who work on remasters, they admit openly, they're like, yeah, we take a lot of these ROMs and emulators and we build on them to help make the remasters. And they're like, honestly, without those, we may not be able to release these remasters. I'm wondering if that's how Kingdom of Hearts 1 got remade, because I know they had lost all the original assets. You'd know, you're the king of Kingdom of Hearts.
When it came to Kingdom Hearts 1, they didn't have all of their assets. Sometimes it's like, I felt like, well, no. It's like, you change the coloring of this Heartless for some weird reason when you have the original coloring of them in this. So what's the point of it? I feel like you just colored it different so you could make sure that people could tell it's a different game. They make an excuse that it's a different game. Now, when it came to the ones on the PS3 and the PS4, and then also when they ported the PS4 and everything else, those versions, I think they had to tweak the engine a little bit and then also they kept their final mix versions this time instead of just letting the game. And then when Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, they had no excuse. They kept the Kingdom Hearts 2 data. They didn't have to. They just changed the things to, once again, arbitrary change for change's sake. Because even the Japanese public have to be convinced. It's like, what's the difference between this game? Oh, this game has this color, I guess, and then that, and also with this added blah 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 blah. With the Kingdom Hearts stuff, it's up in the air. I haven't done enough of the research of it besides knowing that the original Kingdom Hearts 1 data was fragments of it were lost to time. Whatever, you guys. It's just another argument of, emulator. People can keep emulating stuff. Thank you for being better at saving these games better than the people who actually make them, because the companies who make them don't give a shit after they're released, and and then just scrap the whole thing and they force these developers to scrap all their work and work on something new, which is horrible. Someone I know told me they're working on something. Half of the data, I forget which game it was. I don't want to say the company either, but when they were working on a game, half of the assets were scrapped except for like the base stuff, so they could transfer it over into the next one.
Gotcha. Well, that won't be the first time we hear this episode of workers being maybe treated less than, maybe not to the level of the MCU, but we will cover that. I'm going to end this week's episode with, or at least the news stories, with 2 Marvel pieces. Look at that. Extra Marvel news. So it's probably a good thing, right?
You did that because I'm here, didn't you?
No, not at all. Honestly, not at all. But I think longtime Brocats know that it's usually a negative if I cover Marvel. Not in this next one, though. This one I did put in. I'm like, oh, well, if it was you or Bobby or another collector, maybe Matt, I would have put this on here, or Nick, regardless. But Marvel recently unveiled the details of Edge of Spider-Verse number 5, Julian. So the September issue of this larger crossover event is the end of the Spider-Verse, is what they're calling the whole event. But this particular issue will include Web Weaver, who is being billed as the first gay Spider-Man. So it's created by Steve Fox and Chris Anka. It says here that Web Weaver is billed as, quote, a not-so-mild fashion designer at Van Dyne, end quote, who will, quote, show us a very different kind of Spider Slayer, end quote, once he gets powers. So you saw the design. As someone who is a part of that community, what do you think?
Well, besides the huge amount of the people within the community who constantly ship Spider-Man and Deadpool together and have essentially labeled them as a canonical couple, regardless of what the books say. And as a part of that person and in community, unabashedly, I'm okay with that. I am okay with this. It looks different. There's not a rainbow in sight. Thank you. It's like, we don't need someone with rainbows to establish the fact that this is LGBT. Thank you. Thank you, because when you toss rainbows all over something, it's like, it doesn't make it any better. It just feels like I'm being marketed to. This is not a Yet there is a little bit of marketing going on here, but it's like at least this character feels organic enough. It looks like someone who might not be having spider powers that are normal, the normal spider powers. It might be another Iron Spider or something, I guess, with less spider powers or something, from what I've been told from people who actually keep up with this better than I do. The person that I know who's been keeping up with this, they told me they're going to, when they get it, usually they get a physical copy, and then they don't care, and then the digital one they might just give me or something. They're gonna get a digital one they might give me, and then I can read it, like they did with the Superboy, Superman comic thing with that whole thing that went on back and so forth when I actually was here talking about that with you last time. One of the other times I was here with you.
Yeah, that's
Conveniently,
right.
these things come out when I'm around.
I honestly don't plan them. The rotation works, and I'm not even going to fight it. The
Not gonna
co-host
fight it.
rotation
Ha!
works.
I'm Julian. I'm bisexual, and I'm gonna freaking. And these LGBT topics come up when I'm ever here. Yay! Yay! It makes it easy. It makes it easy for content.
That's
Anyway,
right.
I will read it. Give my 2 cents. Hopefully, most likely your Discord to see if it's not pandery. The Superboy one was kind of meh. It's like some parts of it, like okay. The boyfriend I didn't like because I felt like it's like it didn't feel organic to me, but I'm not that but that was me and a few other voices. I can't speak for everybody who liked it. If you liked him, good for you. I didn't. I felt like his love interest was cliche, but that's also the part of me that gets tired of seeing people write young people being flamboyant a lot.
No, I gotcha. Now, I do think maybe a rainbow design would have worked. I know you said no, but I noticed in the customer base that I interact with, it's a large number are in the gay community, and they do have rainbow pins and rainbow wallets. I've noticed, so it might have worked.
It might have worked, but there are people out there who do agree with me and say, it's like, don't introduce this character. It's like if the cover for this has like him standing there triumphantly with rainbows all behind him, it's like, okay, no, now you're trying too hard to sell this. It's like subtlety.
Gotcha.
I know your Marvel Comics, not Marvel Studios. Please be subtle, please.
Well, speaking of Marvel Studios, this I loved. I was fascinated by it. VFX artists are speaking out against Marvel Studios, the MCU, on Reddit, with many refusing to ever work with the entertainment giant again. So this comes as artists shared accounts of unworkable deadlines and immense pressure, leading to stress and unsatisfactory final products. Many have requested to never be put on an MCU project again, saying that the studio has the, quote, worst VFX management out there, end quote. Screen name Mickey M00M00 shared on Reddit, quote, Marvel has seen grown men punch walls and throw monitors from stress. I broke down a couple of times and have seen the strain it can put on marriages. But hey, the money was fantastic. Fuck Marvel as a client. The credit name is not fucking worth it. End quote.
You can totally tell this is from Reddit because, if this was anywhere, if this was anybody interviewing them, they would not have thrown this kind of language out there.
No.
People on Reddit are unhinged.
Absolutely. Another Reddit user, Randover, said, quote, I am on my third Marvel project in a row and literally just woke up 5:30 a.m. on a Saturday with stress going, I don't want to do this anymore. It's 6 a.m. now, and I am making a reel to apply someplace that has projects other than Marvel because I can't do this anymore. End quote. And meanwhile, there, immediately people are like, hey, other VFX artists were coming out that have worked for other studios, other people like Zack Snyder, and saying it was great. It was awesome. But the ones that worked for Marvel, the MCU, they're saying, fuck that shit.
I'm not really surprised, especially since part of me doesn't even think it's fully 100% the Marvel company's fault for this kind of thing. When
Disney,
yeah, Disney's been kind of showing their ass lately. It's been very difficult to enjoy liking this company. Every time they pull out something like a Baymax, where it's like, oh, look how great this show is and wonderful and actually decent it is, and once again, another LGBT representation not being cringe, and it sounding like with natural dialogue and blah 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 blah. But then you have, people like certain people I know who are worried about their own safety because everybody around them is catching COVID, and the company's just like, oh well,
yep.
oh well, or them doubling down on keeping Bob Chapek around, who I feel like is the worst. It's like everybody stop complaining about Michael Eisner. Michael Eisner might have made some mistakes, but holy crap, holy crap, he didn't try to run the company into the ground for
No,
the bottom dollar.
I'm glad you brought him up because there's been, after one of the VFX artists was on Twitter and shared this article, people were like, it's fucking Chapek. It's because of Disney Plus. And he was like, no, this was years. This has been happening for years, since before Disney Plus, since before Chapek. Marvel Disney has always been this way. He was like, this isn't a new thing.
This is not
it's terrible.
It's not Chapek. It's technically Iger. This is all Iger's fault. He was there at Hong Kong Disneyland, watching all the little Chinese children get all happy about Buzz Lightyear and all this stuff, and he's like, holy crap, we need to buy Pixar. And it's like, oh, this feels good. And then it's like, oh, look, Marvel's going big. Marvel's kind of struggling a little bit. Let's buy them. And then let's finally convince George Lucas just to finally let go of the franchise that he obviously stopped giving a shit about. Because anybody who thinks like, oh, George, when George Lucas had, no. George Lucas was already on the cusp of giving up. He barely even cared back in like, he barely even cared ages ago, because it's like, people would ask, is it pronounced, it's like this legendary thing out there that people asked him, is it Leia or Leia? Is it like Leah or Leia? And they're like, he's like, who cares? He's like, who cares? It's like,
I love that.
Because, he's still mad that he couldn't make money off Howard the Duck.
That's true too.
Oh, I say that, but George Lucas never really cared. It's like, oh, look at these side books. It's like people are like, George Lucas would have never like overwritten the side books. Like, yes, he would have. He didn't give a shit about the side books. You could have made all the people who made all their books and their random extra adventures and even the video game stuff. It's like, it wouldn't have mattered because it's not something that George Lucas came up with. And now that Disney owns it, everybody's like suddenly like, oh no, Disney's the reason. No. Star Wars was literally like, George was like, I do this because it's what I'm famous for. I'm not really. It's like, I felt like he was checked out way before. He just pretty much let Disney have it, so he wouldn't have to take the flack from all the nerds anymore.
Right. My favorite was when I worked at GameStop and we were doing pre-orders for The Force Unleashed. And back then, it was a big deal. We used it as a pre-order selling point of, Lucas said that this is canon. It's canon to the movies. And people were like, oh shit. And like pre-orders went way up. Looking back on it now, it's like, who gave a shit? He made everything canon. Like, yeah, that's canon. Sure. How much are you going to pay me?
Yeah, sure. How much are you going to give me money for? Because it's like, I'm going to make money off of this. Yes. It's like, you can't expect everybody to be freaking Steven Spielberg, who gives a shit about everything. He gives a shit, or fucking James Cameron, right? That's his name.
Yeah.
Freaking yeah. It's like, you can't have a man who is so passionate about his freaking movies he makes that he will stop making his sinking boat movie to go make a theme park attraction about Terminator for 3 months for like a year, and then go back to sinking ship movie, and then after sinking ship movie go make Blue Alien movie. It's like, and all this stuff, or hell, even help fund making an anime movie because he saw an anime once and thought it was the best thing ever. Because Alita Battle Angel was all James Cameron funded. And that's why it did decently. Mm-hmm, but because it's anime fans, it's like, it's not animated and made by mostly Japanese people, so we hate it.
Which is crazy because people like the movie. They said, I thought it was solid.
It was a good movie.
Yeah.
It was better than Alone in the Dark, but that was doomed to fail. So it doesn't matter. But back on this Marvel VX thing, this is very unfortunate to see the people who make most of everything in this, because I've seen these shows, mostly visual effects.
Yeah, they're all green screen. That's all like fucking video games.
Visual effects. It's like, you guys I understand that we're trying to make television in the post-COVID world where we don't want to have too many people gathered in one building, but do not work these guys over stress, and then you're gonna work these guys to death so they can make decent money and then cancel the show they're working on,
or change the scene 3 different times. That was one of the things they said, where Disney will change their mind 3 times over scripts that they haven't even fucking finished or haven't agreed on, and then they have to do the more work with a short deadline. It's like, fuck you guys.
See, because like, there's a lot of people who say, oh, why don't we take this the same way that a lot of other shows do? Make everything at once, put it all together, and then release it at a piece by piece instead of releasing one episode and we're still working on the next one that's supposed to go out a week later. This is ridiculous. This is crunch. I'm against that. These people have every right to leave. They're trying to get people who work on television things to do movie level quick editing, but the people who edit these movies have plenty of time to get this shit right. In television, it's a lot faster. Everything has to get done faster. But these people who make this stuff are still people, and they don't have. And their deadlines are: you have to have this done by tomorrow. Have to have a fucking movies level amount of visual effects done by tomorrow. So we can put out this 1 hour show that most of the visual effects of it aren't really that impressive, because I'm not really entertained by any of these shows.
No,
at all.
No,
at all. Can we just go back to it's like? Can we animate them, please? Just
I'm
hire
like
animators, and can we just animate these shows?
They need to keep this up, because between this, the Star Wars stunt people not getting paid, it's just continuing that trend of Disney not treating its people correctly. And truly, a lot of people are saying, man, after Thor Love and Blunder, or whatever the fuck, like after that shit,
Love and Blunder,
like they didn't. People are like, man, the MCU is not really that exciting anymore. I had a friend, he's pro MCU. He's got a Iron Man tattoo on him and all that shit. And he was like, I saw that and it was garbage. And maybe Scorsese was right about it. And I'm like, yeah, no shit, he was right about the fucking MCU.
Just because the director of Thor Ragnarok and Love and Thunder said, maybe I made a mistake of making Thor turning Thor into a campy thing, made Disney want me to make another one and make another ridiculously campy movie. Maybe I made a mistake.
I don't think he's even admitted that shit. I think he's doubling down. He has said on Twitter he doesn't give a shit about comic lore, and it shows if you've fucking seen Ragnarok even
for someone who liked Thor Ragnarok and then watching it again, it's like, yeah, stupid as fuck, but I'm a person who likes stupid as fuck movies. I have no
Love and Thunder, man. Have fun.
Oh no! I have no interest in seeing Love and Thunder because I've given up on the Marvel thing after they burnt Spider-Man for the third time.
but it's more of the same, man. You like Ragnarok? He's gonna give it. This is Ragnarok 2.
I don't want because that's beating a dead horse.
It is not.
Ragnarok got its laughs at me. Ragnarok got its entertainment and laughs at me, but I'm done. I'm done. I'm not gonna expect. I don't expect. It's like it's expecting me to eat the same pizza that's been in the fridge for 3 weeks.
Well, no,
I'm not expecting that same pizza anymore.
It's giving you
kind of dumb.
Well, I was gonna say it's giving you that pizza you like. Yeah, hey, you liked this last time. Here.
Yeah, but the problem is, even as a person who likes anime, who who enjoys the anime with the same stupid premise of insert person here gets transported to another world, I get tired of it after a while. But at least with anime, I only pay a subscription service that doesn't cost me that costs me way less than it does cost me going to a movie theater a month. And then when it fails, they don't try to fucking change it. They don't try to change the anime entirely. Usually, I've sat down and rewatched all the movie before the Infinity War sequel movies, and it's like, okay, I see what I liked about them. I see there's stuff that I didn't see. I've doubled down on the stuff I didn't like about it. I will still say this is the worst iteration of Spider-Man that has ever been created, ever, because I hate it. No offense to Tom Holland, is that his name?
Yeah.
No offense to that kid. You're fine. You did well in that one. You did well in Onward. But as Spider-Man, as nerdy, weird, ultimate version of Spider-Man with a mixture of Miles Morales' story mixed in with you because they had to make it different somehow. Disney's just trying to use you so they can put you in whatever crossover they want at this point to keep you around so they can make their Spider-Man money. I actually had a horrifying thought when I was rewatching the Black Panther. I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna keep this series going regardless. And whoever else they hire, it's gonna be really bad because it's gonna ruin what I liked about the first one. and then after like some of the stuff, I'm like, maybe it's like I'm kind of glad I distanced myself after a while, because the only reason I even saw the recent Spider-Man movie that they came out with is because it was free and someone was torrenting it. Someone was torrenting a bootleg version of it. So it's like, I didn't pay. They didn't pay. The person who torrented it most likely didn't pay either. So And the person who, most likely the person who sat there with their video recording in the theater, it's like, oh, they paid for it, but they knew they were going to make more money, make more money regardless, or show people a piece of shit movie that no one should go see, no one should have gone and saw. And anybody who praises that movie for the whole Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield thing. It's like, yeah, that was great, but it wasn't. But that movie franchise does not deserve it.
There you go.
I will admit that I'm a Marvel fan. I have enjoyed the movies, but I'm done. The movies have milked themselves. This whole situation has milked itself dry. Disney made all the money in the world. They marketed it, and now it's, oh my God, I'm talking about to bring up Jurassic Park again after this episode we had last time recorded with you. Selling it, and now it's mundane. It's fucking becoming the Jurassic World, where it's like they keep trying to make things bigger and bigger and bigger, but it's not interesting people anymore. Everyone's done. Everyone's done. Everybody's tired.
Bigger right here.
Everyone's tired. All the people I know all of us who were into the Marvel stuff before, we're a little less involved, less talking about it. One person will mention, has anybody watched this? And we'll be like, meh. And they're like, yeah, to the point where we don't talk about it. Now, most of the time, we're busy talking about whatever video games that we decided to obsess over for the week, or any other movie, or pretty much
Top Gun.
We're pretty much laughing about the Morbius joke.
There you go. I'm loving it, man. I'm liking this downfall of the MCU that we're seeing. I'm enjoying this. It's kind of like everyone's caught up finally.
Also, everybody, it's like Disney has run it to the ground. Congratulations. And also, this company has made me say, can we go back to Eisner being scared about trying to run things into the ground? I understand this is the same man who decided, let's turn all our movies into direct to video schlock, but at least it didn't feel as shameless as it is now.
No,
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's just that, because like trying to keep the whole thing of keeping something an evergreen company is evergreen, keeping something fresh and making sure it's not oversaturated is now dead within that company. It's like I can't get excited about a lot of the nerd media I ingest that comes from them as much as I used to, because when they're not trying to make sure I stay broke, they are disappointing me, and it hurts.
Well, I couldn't have put it better myself. That does wrap up our news for the week. Ending on a high note. I like it. Let's head into the final portion of today's episode. That is the Brokehead Block, which is what Julian and I have been doing since you last heard us. So real quick, before we jump into your month and a half since you were last on, I do want to remind everyone that if you enjoyed today's episode, we are trying to get nominated again for the 6th year in a row for the Podcast Awards. We're trying to win for the 2nd time ever, and we're trying to also get nominated under People's Choice for the 1st time ever. So if you head on over to podcastawards.com, and all you need is an email, you make up a little account there, and we are listed under People's Choice and under Games and Hobbies. If you just vote for us on there, click save on your nominations, and that's all you need to do. You can vote for all the other categories if you'd like, but otherwise you don't have to if you don't recognize the other shows. And you could just vote on those 2 categories and hit save, and that's all you need to do. You have until the end of this month, end of July, to vote in at podcastawards.com. So we would really appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Don't disappoint me. I am part of this podcast. That means that my name is in something that could get award recognition.
Absolutely.
I want this. You all give this to me. If you vote for anything else, you're slowly betraying part of my trust, because you're giving them options. Vote. You're allowed to vote for other people. I won't stop you, but I will scowl at you in the background.
So we would appreciate that. Again, that's at podcastawards.com. Julian, what's been going on with you since we last heard you?
I have learned that there are over 300 different types of off-white in my new job.
Oh, paints, right?
I hate off-white so much.
Why is that?
Because so many people need their stuff painted, and they bring me like pieces of their old ass wall that hasn't been touched since the fucking Bush era, and it's like or they bring me their old cans of paint that haven't seen the light of day outside of their garages since the year 2000.
Right.
And no, I'm not gonna be able to I'm not gonna be able to make paint out of this. Fucking go home, get a piece out of your wall. First, clean your dirty wall. Give me a piece of it, so then we could actually get something. Don't bring me your dusty house being pelted by the sunlight for years, and then expect me to give you the same vibrant color that it used to be when it was a fresh young house before the housing boom crashed back in 2008. Other than that, I'm fine. My job, remember everybody, just because you have bring people off-white colors doesn't mean that's the only off-white. There's hundreds of them. Just cut a piece out of your wall and just spackle it on later. You're already spending all the money trying to fucking deal with your house, or hell, even trying to get your meager deposit back on your apartment. Just do the bare minimum so you can get what you want.
Has anyone tried to bring you a picture of their wall? Like, can you make this color? Oh my God, that's amazing.
Terrible. No, today, but lately I've had some interesting things. A person brought me literally the door to their cabinet to test for paint. Not a piece of it. Not like they chipped a piece off of the door. No. They brought me the whole door to a cabinet. One person brought me a brick and see if I can make color of it. I told them no. And they're like, what do you mean no? We can't get colors off of stone.
Gotcha.
Off of stone. Like for people in Florida who have pool decks, right? You can't bring me the concrete to your pool deck and expect me to make a color out of it, because that's not how that works. You're painting anything that is already stone. Guess what? That color is being changed. You are not getting that color back. Mm-hmm. You're not getting that exact color back. You'll get something close, but you'll never get that same color, because stone and sometimes wood, depending on the wood and how old the wood is, it's not going to be the same color that you think it is. You're not going to get that same color again, because stone and wood do age over time. And then stone, especially with stone, the wear and tear from rain and just general use, and then when it gets cold, and then when it stops being cold, like the expansion of it sometimes will change the color from what it used to be. Absolutely. And that old can that you brought me that says it used to be this color, and then you have it's like, no, this color didn't work because it changed. Like, yeah, because weather, time,
reality.
Time. Just paint it something new. Stop being lazy. I understand that the paint is expensive. I can't even give people samples without them complaining sometimes. It's like, it's $6. Just get over it. But other than that, I'm fine. Because of the recent Pokemon game announcements, I've been remembering that I still do love Pokemon, even when I feel disappointed by them, because I am never pleased when it comes to the Pokemon company anymore.
So you're excited for Scarlet and Violet then?
I am. Good. I'm going to buy Violet day one. I might get both of them just so I can have one for streaming and the other one I don't, for personal research. The professors are hot.
Yeah.
But other than that,
there's already been tons of fan art already.
Oh, tons of it. I have links and archives. Of
course you do.
I'm not against being a degenerate anymore.
You're turning into Scott.
Scott. I don't try to delve into Scott's degeneracy. We're both too different. We both have levels of degeneracy that are completely different, besides the fact of sexual orientation. Like, it's just, no. He doesn't know about mine and I don't know about his, outside the surface level.
As it should stay.
I don't want to know. I don't ask about Jacques. I don't ask about Jacques either.
Jacques is easy to figure out too, though, just based on...
Jacques doesn't, because Jacques not good at hiding it.
No,
out of all lazy gaming guys, he is the most malleable.
Shiny object syndrome. As soon as, because I'll notice he's not paying attention on stream when you guys are streaming, and Scott will say, "Oh, big tits on that character," and then that's when he tunes in, like, "Huh? What?" Every single time.
I mean, that's happened to me. That's happened to me. It's like, oh, look, a character for Julian, and then I will actually be looking at stream, and I'm like, really, Scott? Just because it's a man doesn't mean I want a piece of him. It's like, get with it.
Yeah, you've got your standards. You like them built, a little bit older.
Don't you dare. I will not sit. I'm not going to sit through another King Triton joke.
I was going with Zangief, but now I'm going to say maybe more mermaid-like.
No.
Perhaps a king of sorts.
We have established that joke. We have established that joke is not real. That I'm into my buff men that wear little and wear spandex.
Well, he wears little.
He doesn't wear spandex. He's not real. Not like the giant Russian wrestler man. I'm stupid. Anyway, how have you been?
I've been pretty good. I'm still catching up from having to take off a week at work. So financially, I'm still catching up on that.
Right. You got the vid.
Yeah. So I'm still kind of working my way uphill from that, and have been trying to find some time to finally finish Kingdom of Hearts 3, because according to one of my coworkers who is a big fan of that, I'm right near the end. So I haven't touched it in over a week, and I'm trying to get there. I'm going back and trying to rewatch some movies. I'm trying to finish off the Halo series on Paramount. I'm trying to finish off Hell's Kitchen season 18 or something like that. So really trying to find time to watch TV and play video games, which has not been easy lately, but that's all right because I'm still able to get the podcast done. I get to go to work. I have a job thanks to Bobby. So all of that is working out okay. And I have a lot of things to be grateful for since you last, I got healthy. I got healthy from the disease, and I'm back at the gym again and doing all of that at my level that I was pre having COVID. So
yeah, not to brag a little bit, but I am the only member of Lazy Gaming Guys who hasn't caught it yet.
Well, now you've jinxed it.
I have jinxed. Oh, please! I already know that it's bound to happen. My roommate told me Walmart had a couple people. There were like two people at my job, and then my mom's job. It's like fucking going. It's going like wildfire because it's a food distributing company. So of course they're like going around the country and then they bring it back. I just hope my parents don't get it. It's like if I get it, I'll be fine. I have no respiratory issues. It's like I'm already suffering from allergies most of the time anyway, so it's not anything different.
There you go.
Too much.
Well, good, man. I do appreciate that, and I appreciate you catching up with me on here with the Brokehead Block, and that you are healthy enough to do this show and to still do some streams for your channel. And please let them know as we close out, where they can find Lazy Gaming Guys and where they can tweet at you or find you otherwise.
You can find me on two places. You can find me on @LazyGamingGuys on Twitter, and also on YouTube at youtube.com/@LazyGamingGuys. We stream every Wednesday. Right now, I think I'm on some kind of Pokemon kick. So next time I stream, it's going to be something Pokemon related. I don't think it's going to be another Nuzlocke anytime soon, because I'm still trying to work out if I feel like going through the emotional trauma of dealing with the heckling when things die from
Scott,
from my coworkers. It's like, okay. see if you can do not coworkers, my co-streamers, and sitting there seeing if they could do better. And then with Jacques and his constantly wanting me to do a double Nuzlocke with him, where if he fucks up, I start fucking up, and no, because Jacques is an amateur. But other than that, you can hear this argument and others on our channel, and also there is me on my own thing at Kage023, where I post random art and bullshit that I feel like. Also, I'm gonna start linking some of the stuff that I share from my Final Fantasy Twitters, because I am obsessed with Final Fantasy 14, and I might as well actually start pushing it out more. So besides Pokemon, I might stream like shenanigans of me doing that and then going back to streaming something else that day, because I already know that I will not. I like Final Fantasy 14, but right now we're in between content, so until something actually comes out, I'm not going to stream anything. I'm not going to stream much of anything besides me leveling up something and then moving on.
Gotcha. Well, there will be links to everywhere you can find Julian and Lazy Gaming Guys also in the description of today's episode. In case you're driving, just come on back to the episode and swipe on over to the description. You will find all of the links on there. This week, if you are able to help, head on over to patreon.com/thereasonsimBroke. For as little as $1 or $2 a month, you too can get the episodes early every single week, and you get access to our Patreon-only Discord channel. So that one is where half the conversation happens on our Discord. So you are missing out on half of the messages if you're not on our Patreon Discord, and you can get that access at patreon.com/thereasonsimBroke, and we could definitely use the help to continue the podcast with its monthly costs. So we do appreciate it. And you can also find links to everywhere you can find us at thereasonsimbroke.com. But thank you so much for joining us on sector number 517. I've been Daniel, joined by Julian from Lazy Gaming Guys, and Brocat Core. All will be well. So I've got to ask you, Julian, since you've been to many anime conventions, what would you say is the cringiest thing you've either seen or done at previous anime conventions?
Oh boy, that's a difficult question.
I live on this stuff, man.
So I don't know if I doubt you ever heard of this anime. There's an anime called that came out back in like the early 2010s called Hitalia.
Okay.
It was an anime about countries being personified through stereotypes, and
right.
a Japanese lens stereotype. So even they stereotype themselves, but most of the countries are stereotyped, except for the ones that would get pissed off if they did it. How it was animated and how some of the characters were, it gained a very large female fan base.
Uh-huh.
And I actually was a fan of it because it was funny, because I was one of those, like everybody back then, being funny was being an edgelord about whatever the fuck possible. Like you could laugh about something horrible. You could laugh about horrible things, like I don't know, fucking being racist. I don't know, back in the early days of the internet where you could use certain words and nobody would blink an eye, and then now you use them, suddenly you're horrible.
Sure.
I'm not going to get into what those words are, but the point is, with that show, it gained a very large female fan base, but I was ignorant to this because I didn't pay attention until I started getting into the fan base. So I went to a Hitalia panel where I thought there was it's like ask the characters questions to see if they would come up with funny things, and then half of it was people asking stupid shit like fan pairings and like asking characters if they would kiss and all this other stuff. It was so stupid. I hated every last bit of it. And we just left because we're like, okay, this is terrible. This is boring. The same friend actually did run a panel themselves about Dragon Ball Z, and it was fun and stupid. And so we're like, and it was only two of them, and they managed to make a more interesting panel than like a group of 10 women. Because some people, Scott would say one of the most interesting and slightly cringe for him at the time, cringy parts was me doing full-on Hatsune Miku dances with other people at a convention and being the best one at it. The best one at it because the term para dancing was a big thing in my life at one point, and also random Power Ranger-esque poses. Which the Power Ranger pose thing hasn't died off completely. I can still do a couple things, but some people that was cringy. But no. Bad panels. Nothing's worse than a bad fan panel. It's like when it's just people sitting around kind of being overly fanny and like being the worst part of the fandom. It's like, ugh, this is bad. It's time to leave. It's like someone going to a comic book convention and sitting there trying to start a war between which animated Batman series is better.
Oh, yeah.
When it's
happens.
Like, really, you're here just to get people to sit here and argue in front of people, but now they have a microphone to lord their wrong opinions with.
Or like they asked Chris Sabat at the Dragon Ball panel, like, who would win between Vegeta and Almighty? And it's like, oh my fucking god.
God,
who cares?
Like, why are you wasting a good question with your bullshit? It's the fucking Voltron panel at San Diego Comic-Con all over again, where this one girl took over the whole thing, and they practically had to force her away because she kept asking about her fucking gay fan pairing to the point where it was cringy and annoying, and everybody hated her for it.
Oh, well, now I know what I'm looking up after.